Season 41, War number 4, and we are up against SSx. This time my team will be Tigra, Valkyrie, and Absorbing Man. And this war is gonna be a pretty quick one, but we've got some new fights to take as well. I'm on Path 5 in Section 1, Path 3 in Section 2, and I'm also taking that Terrax and Thing on the shared fights. And finally, I'm taking all the right side mini-bosses. I was considering the Nova boss with Tigra, but since it has the Opportunist node and it's a global defender, I can't remove any buffs he gets, so I figured a Diablo would work better there, or at least safer. So up first we have an Ikaris on the Event Flow knockdown and right back at it nodes, and I'm taking this fight with Absorbing Man. And this fight right here is why I took Absorbing Man to rank 4, and I did it basically 10 minutes before I joined the war. And this is essentially the first fight I have ever taken with him outside of some 3-star Battlegrounds tournaments. Now, the game plan here is to just keep the form up by spamming special ones, landing the pause with my light attacks, interrupting the opponent's basic attacks, and that's about all there is to it. It's not a hard fight at all, and the reason why I took Absorbing Man to rank 4 here was because I was considering the rank up anyways, and I needed a single champ solution for this one fight for the war. Now, I would have used Tigra, but this node has the Force of Will node, so Neutralize simply doesn't work, and that basically shuts down Tigra completely, so couldn't do that. I also could have taken this with Valkyrie, but I would have been eating a bunch of damage whenever Ikaris uses a special, due to him having those energized buffs on him. So I needed a Mystic Champion that can just hit the opponent until they drop, and Absorbing Man was my choice here. Now I know for a war debut this isn't exactly an exciting fight by any means, and this is the only fight that Absorbing Man had this war, but there is gonna be a lot more of him later in the season, that's for sure. We can just consider this one a test run of sorts. Next up we have an Attuma on the Event Flow knockdown and heavy hitter nodes, and I'm taking this fight with Valkyrie. The game plan here is to mainly hit into his block to ramp up Valkyrie's buffs, and both the Pierce and the Bulwarks, and then just go for a special 2 to nuke this guy down. Now, usually when I've taken this guy, I've only hit into his block for the whole fight, which is extremely safe and it works very well, but it is also very slow due to Attuma's bleed resistance as well as the protection from ebb and flow. So instead, I am gonna be removing the protection before I drop my special 2 to speed things up. Now I did mess up here, I dashed back too early on that medium dash of Attuma's, and I did get comboed, but didn't do all that much damage. Attuma doesn't hit very hard, and Valkyrie's health pool is pretty big as well. So all it's gonna do is just cost me a potion, which is fine, I'm used to it by now, especially after the last war. Now, before I drop my special 2, I do want the last Bulwark buff as well, to get the most damage that I can from the single special 2, and then before I drop it, I am gonna push Attuma to his special 1, and then I bait it and punish it with my heavy attack to knock him down. Now I've converted my buffs to passives, removed the protection, and then I just drop the special 2 into his block. He's left at 3%, and one more hit into the block and down he goes. The heavy attack usually is something that you don't really want to use with Valkyrie because it converts your indefinite buffs into passives with a set duration, but their potency increases once you do that, so if you need to nuke the fight down quickly like that, it is very useful. Now, next up we have a Terrax on the buffet over time node, and I'm taking this fight with Tigra, I start the fight with an advanced power boost, so I start with a bar of power. I go for 2 aggro sets to start off, drop my special 2, and that is the whole fight. That's all there is to it. Terrax will go down from this. It's gonna be a 12-second fight, and a rank 5 Tigra is just too good. And yes, I could have used Absorbing Man for that as well and absolutely destroyed him, but I mean, I had Tigra right there, so why not? Next up we have a Scarlet Witch on the sloped armor and the Thorns node that I cannot pronounce, so I'm not even gonna attempt to. Which basically just means that the defender inflicts bleed debuffs on contact if they have an armor buff on them. So to avoid that completely, I'm only gonna be hitting into Scarlet Witch's block, because you need to land critical hits for her to trigger her dupe ability. So if you don't hit a crit, which Valkyrie doesn't, into the block, you will be just fine. It's a perfectly safe matchup. You can't gain any of the debuffs that Scarlet Witch triggers. You can't trigger any of the buffs on her. There is absolutely nothing to worry about, and that also means that the nodes do absolutely nothing. Now normally there would be the poison to worry about on top of the armor up buffs, and in turn also the bleed debuffs, but doing it this way just means that the defender does absolutely nothing. As long as you can dex your special 1 just fine, this is a perfectly safe matchup, with no risk of dying at all. Next up we have a Bishop on the sloped armor and static defense nodes, and I'm taking this fight with Tigra. I still have the advanced power boost active from that Terrax fight, so I'm just gonna do the same strat here. I'm gonna be baiting 2 heavy attacks at the start of the fight, punishing them with my heavy attack, and then just nuking the fight down with a single special 2. Now, since this Bishop is not a cosmic champion, my special 2 wasn't quite enough to finish him off, but I got back up to special 1 from the power backs as well as the power gain Tigra gets herself, and I just chained it in, and that was more than enough to finish the job. A very quick fight and a simple one for Tigra as well, and on to the next one. We have a Thing on the strike counter block penetration as well as never back down, and I'm taking this fight with Tigra as well, and I still got the single advanced power boost from that Terrax fight. And this is fight number 4 that I've taken with that single boost, just because Tigra is amazing. So I get to my special 2 at the start of the fight by baiting and punishing a few heavy attacks. I drop it, Thing is down well below 50%, I just get to another special 2, drop it, and down he goes in just over 30 seconds. Tigra is just amazing for war and in general. Thing is usually a very tanky defender, but Tigra just completely shreds him on most nodes on the war map. Next up we have a Sersi on the Safeguard miniboss node, and I'm taking this fight with Tigra. And unfortunately I don't have the advanced power boost active anymore, but that's fine. This is just a normal Sersi fight and there is absolutely nothing to worry about. To start the fight I go for a parry medium to trigger neutralize before baiting any heavy attacks, so that she doesn't gain her glancing buff. But she wasn't being too aggressive here unfortunately, but that's fine. Instead of baiting a heavy attack, I push her to her special 1 instead, bait that out, punish it with my heavy, drop a few more heavies, get to my special 2, throw it, and that's all there is to it. The special 2 itself didn't quite finish the job, but I once again got up to a special 1 from all the power gain, chained it in, and that was more than enough to finish the job. Next up we have a Mole Man on the Stunning Reflection and Polka Dot Power miniboss node, and I'm taking this fight with Valkyrie. Game plan here is very simple. get at least one pierce buff up, and you win the fight. That is basically all there is to it, since all I need to do to bypass the unstoppable is to get a single pierce. After I do that, Mole Man does basically nothing. Now, my main game plan here is to only hit into his block, or at least hit into his block as much as possible to gain power, try to get the special to speed things up. This is gonna be a pretty long fight without the special 2, and even just getting the special 2 takes a while. But as long as the fight takes, it is also extremely safe and very simple to do as well, so I would say that Valkyrie is probably one of the best options for this. But you probably see most alliances just nuke this fight down with some champion that just does the fight in like 30 seconds, which is perfectly fine, but I like my Valkyrie and I needed her for the Scarlet Witch before, as well as the Attuma, so might as well use her here since I have her. Now I did go for the combo inversion so I can start stacking up the bulwarks as well, for 2 reasons. Number 1 is the immunity to stun debuffs, so if I parry him accidentally, I don't get stunned due to stunning affliction. And then there's also the fact that the bulwark buffs also increase the damage output with the passive fury on the special 2, which just means more damage, so why not go for those buffs as well. I'm getting very close to my special 2, and I'm pretty sure that after I get to it, the fight is over, since the damage boost from it is huge. And this fight has just been very simple and very repetitive so far. All I'm doing is just setting up the parry walks here and there to get my blocked hits in, guaranteed, and then just doing 4 hit combos into his block for most of the fight. He goes down in just about 2 minutes, which is a pretty long fight, but considering all the other fights I've done this war have been pretty quick, I'd say that's acceptable. And then we have the final fight of this war, a Hulkling on the brute force miniboss node, and I'm taking the fight with Tigra. I didn't bother using an advanced power boost because, well, it's just a Hulkling, what could go wrong? I'm gonna try to bait and punish a few heavy attacks to stack up some ruptures and to gain power, and then just nuking the fight down with a single special 2. And that was the plan. But for some reason, when I go to bait the second heavy attack, I eat it twice. I just release my heavy attack way too early and eat the last hit of the heavy, and then I get comboed for some reason. Then I drop my senses, eat a special 1 on top. The opponent had a combo of 11 at that point, which is just horrible. Brute force taking me down, everything goes wrong, but I didn't die. Now I got enough power to get to my special 1 to trigger the primal sense, and then the aptitude buffs on Hulkling expired, giving me more MD, which got me to a special 2. I dropped it with only a single rupture on the opponent, but even with that it was almost enough to take him down. Not quite, so all I needed to do at that point was just bait a special 1, go in with some normal attacks, and that's the fight. And I gotta say, I am embarrassed to show this fight on YouTube, because it just went horrible. Like, it's one of the easiest Tiger fights in the whole game, and I just completely messed it up. No idea how. But as for the results, we did end up winning this war 7-2. Another great performance by us.